So it's really interesting to do random interviews because you see a guy walking down the street or up the street, Harvard Square, and he looks like a distinguished gentleman. But like your natural instinct would be, well, he's a professor. He's got to be a professor, maybe at Harvard, whatever. He's got to be a very educated man. He might be, a Brahmin, upper class. Um, and he might be not willing to talk to somebody, a peasant like me. But it turned out to be very much the opposite. And I was incredibly, joyed and joyful about that. And it shows that when you get older, you have the wisdom to know that people come in so many varieties, you can't judge a book by its cover. Excuse me, sir. Sir, you look like a distinguished gentleman. Is that somewhat or semi quasi?
Ask my wife.
Oh, and she just walked in? All right. So I've got a YouTube channel, and it's called Chutzpah and Soul. Chutzpah and Soul. And I'm talking to people. We've just been around. We've had some great conversations with people just randomly and talking about, for example, what's going on, for example, the election coming up, for example, the ambiance in our country right now, the cultural ambiance, and so forth. And just open-ended. We don't have an agenda, but I'm just wondering how you feel.
Well, my real opinion?
Yeah.
Well, whoops.
Oh, well, okay. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, once you get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody obviously sees that how this system is deteriorating around us.
Yeah.
As we speak.
Yeah. Which especially? Which thing especially?
I just think the quality of people is just deteriorated. And it's a sex-mad world, and it's a world where that has created all kinds of problems. I mean, when you look at families today breaking up, unwanted children, you look at the pornography, I mean, that's just taken off with its addictions and all the problems that creates in marriages. I mean, if you were to ask a young person today, a 15-year-old,
about social media.
No.
So at that point, I realized that the direction he was going in was not a direction about really progressive political ideas, that it was going to, veer to a conservative side and to probably a religious side that was looking at the problem from a different perspective than I have, which is absolutely fine. And I was curious about his perspective.
You just asked them the question. To you, what would be considered immoral?
Okay, yeah. They'd say none.
They would say probably, something like bestiality. Outside of that, and so, and that's just one area. And then you see the political scene, you see the economic scenes around the world, and then, of course, climate change. And I think about it, and the Bible's right. I don't know. That's what I feel. The Bible is right. This world is heading for some big trouble.
Yeah.
It predicted a lot of this stuff happening, and a lot of people don't believe that, but it is, and that's just my opinion.
No, well, your opinion counts, of course.
Well, everybody's got an opinion, but nothing changes.
Yeah, because there's so much disinformation. When he started talking about apocalyptic ideas or about, predictions, biblical predictions, I knew it was going in that direction, but I lived in Jerusalem. I've been around lots of people, and I've been around people who have these literal interpretations of the Bible, of religion, and they tend to get into some literal ways that Bible explains this and that and this. And I don't agree with it all, but I'm curious about hearing it. I'm not going to walk away. I'm ready to hear it. I want people to hear it. There's so much lack of mentoring or leading or helping shape, for example, young people. your experience in, I don't know, with young people, maybe your family or just
Oh,
in
my
general.
kids, I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So
Okay.
my family is brought up, under those auspices,
Right.
good morals, and
Yeah.
they're fine. They're happily married. They're doing well. Yeah, we deal with a lot of young people. In my ministry, I go out and talk to a lot of young people. And really, it's,
So Jehovah's Witness is a branch, a type of Protestantism that's not well known, and it's quite small, but they have very strong beliefs, and some of their beliefs are very unorthodox. For example, they don't celebrate holidays, or they don't celebrate things like birthdays, and I don't think they celebrate holidays. They don't vote in elections. They're against participation in elections. So they're somewhat isolated, but it sounds like he goes out and does public ministry. And he was pointing up the street to a table that was right in Harvard Square of Jehovah's Witnesses. So they're not afraid and they believe in proselytizing. But again, the average person would either not have heard of them or would only know maybe about the fact they don't celebrate birthdays. But he's explaining, and will explain, the value of Jehovah's Witness. No, I know about Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, I do know. Yeah, definitely.
and in my experience with young people, is just getting more and more difficult to talk to them because the kids.
But not in your church, even in
Oh,
the
no,
church.
no, not in the
Okay.
church, and
Yeah.
within the congregation, because families, still are fairly normal, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah.
Father, mother, everybody's happy and healthy.
Right.
Once you get out of that, and not that everybody out there doesn't.
Right.
There are some good families. Don't get me wrong.
Right. But getting outside the bubble, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, getting
If you
outside,
get outside the bubble,
it's hard. It's hard, and
Yeah.
you try to talk to kids. And, a lot of conversations are just
Oh, I know.
getting more difficult. Let's face it. And,
Yeah. I know.
You know?
What would you like to say to them if you could? If you had one or two messages, what would you
Honestly,
like to? Yeah, it's got to be honest.
I would say, take a look at the world, not just within 3 feet in front of you, but the whole world. Take a look at it. See how the whole world's doing. And from a creator's viewpoint, he's not looking at your life.
Yeah.
He's looking at the whole world.
Yeah.
And when you look at the whole world, it's not good.
Yeah.
And
then what should they maybe do?
Well, that's
what would you? Yeah.
I recommend look at what the Bible says about today,
Yeah.
prophecies that it's talked about, and what it says is about to happen.
Yeah.
Because we're about to have a change of worldwide government. And that's what the Bible promises. God has a government that soon is going to take control of the earth. And
Will that be much better?
Well, it says, the Creator's going to bring it back to the way it should have been.
Okay.
But obviously, he'll have to rid the earth of people who don't want that.
Yeah.
People don't want to change. It's like the alcoholic who wants to drink, but he doesn't want to have the consequences of it.
Right.
I don't want to throw up. I don't want my family to hate me, but I don't want to stop drinking.
Or he says he wants to quit, but doesn't start on the road.
They can't finish.
Yeah.
But we understand a lot of people just that to them that's fairy tale and land. And
Oh, the thing you just said.
yeah, it is. It's fairy tale for most people. And we
if you walked up the street and started talking about that, somehow just walked up the street and started talking about the Jehovah's Witness vision of the future. I'm sort of joking, but I kind of mean it seriously.
What's our vision of the future?
Yeah, if you said, I want to talk to you about the Jehovah Witnesses vision of the future.
Well, our vision is what the Bible says. Jesus said, blessed are the meek, they will inherit the earth.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say that they will live forever on it.
Yeah.
Paradise conditions, they'll build homes, they'll have families, death will be no more, suffering, pain, sickness will be gone. That was the way it was originally supposed to be.
Okay.
However, we kind of deviated, obviously, and this is the result. And so this is the end of the time that the Bible said.
Oh, the end of time.
For that.
Right.
Right.
So you wouldn't get such a great response from an average person
Most people just, they just, I don't really care. I don't believe that. I have my own beliefs,
Yeah,
and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to that.
yeah.
And I'm working with Jehovah's Witnesses over here. We have a cart. And,
What do you have?
a cart. It's called cart work, and there's a sign there that talks about,
Okay.
world events and what's going on, and there's free
Oh, a cart, you
material.
said. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a cart.
Yeah.
I'm just on my break now, but
Okay.
and people can
What-
buy. They take it. It's free. They can read it. Some people
Yeah.
find it interesting. Some
Yeah.
people don't. Some people find it very interesting.
Okay.
So,
Well, let me give you my propaganda.
sure.
No, it's just a cart. Okay. This is the name of the web. Do you know the word? Do you know the word chutzpah?
Yeah. Well, I've heard it. I don't know what
Yeah.
it means.
It means like audacity. Audacity is sort of the willingness to take risks, to
Okay.
pursue.
Hey, you got a lot of chutzpah.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard
that's
that.
what people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not. Well, it can also be negative if it goes too far.
Right.
Yeah, it's can be positive or negative.
Yeah, defending democracy, Israel, Palestine, Jews, Arabs. So
Yeah.
you're just defending, and that's basically Jehovah's Witnesses. We don't recognize political issues as such. We just stay neutral, and the
Okay.
Bible says it's all heading towards one big mess.
Yeah.
So we just stay neutral and wait,
Yeah.
and help people to try to understand what it says and when it's going to happen.
Well, you do look like a distinguished gentleman. That's how I started.
Well,
Yeah.
looks can be deceiving. I don't say I'm not. I'm certainly not a bad person in that sense. But
And what's your first name?
my name's Ron.
Ron.
You can
And
ask
John.
John?
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah,
Johnny,
Jonathan or Johnny.
What's
Yeah.
LICS?
Oh, that's licensed independent clinical social worker.
Oh, really?
I'm a psychotherapist. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, I know people.
Really?
No, I actually, yeah, for many years.
No kidding.
I help. Yeah. Why do you say that?
Well, no, I've heard of psychotherapies, and I've never met a psychotherapist.
Ever?
Never. No, and I think
Okay.
of psychotherapy. You think of those shows where they
Oh, yeah.
role play and they do all this.
Right, right. But they're just making fun of it.
Right.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I do real stuff.
Okay. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
assume you do.
Yeah, right.
It's got to be real.
Yeah, you can't.
So
You know,
what is
when
your
there's-
end goal with all this?
Yeah, good question. To put out, well, not to, to be an influencer, they call it,
Mhm.
on the internet. But the influencing is really about having the nuances, understanding the nuances of these issues.
Mhm.
And I would say on the defending democracy, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that we're up against it. That we're up against some stuff that I call the existential. I should talk. Yeah, so Ron was really willing to share a lot. And even though, I definitely disagree with the idea that we can find a solution, an overall explanation for the universe, for the world, for the future by reading the Bible. Not that the Bible doesn't have truth in it, but it's basically about stories about how people interact. And what we're looking at right now is, and in general, we're looking at really complex systems. And those systems cannot be explained by one book or one theme or one ideology or one philosophy. They're really multifaceted systems. And so I have a belief in existentialism. And that's why I said the existential wilderness over and over again that day. And existentialism believes, first of all, in freedom, and it believes that things are not preordained, that you're not born with a preset future or determination or destiny, that you create your own destiny. And by doing that, you create the limits. You go right to the limits of freedom as an individual and freedom for society. So getting back to what Ron said, Ron is thinking, or Ron feels, that he's got pretty much all the answers in front of him. And his main goal, I guess, his main work is to find ways to convey that. And even though he knows that it's hard to convey, that most people will ignore it, just ignore it. He knows that. but he continues. He keeps going. And one has to respect that. So I respect you, Ron. Have a good life.